Hey everybody, it's Cecile Goff here, and today we're going to be talking all about cravings. So I'm just going to give you all a second to jump on here live, and I'm going to just double check my settings. Hey, let me know if you are on here where you're from. And with StreamYard, you just have to give them permission to leave a comment. Okay, must be working because there's a couple of people on here. That's good to know. Say hi and let me know where you're from. And folks, take a minute while we're waiting for some more people to come on here. It's a good chance to grab a pen and some paper. I'm going to be live with you for about 30 minutes or so, so not taking up too much of your Saturday afternoon. And feel free to jot your questions down and then ask them at the end. Okay, there's going to be room to make comments. Hi, someone's saying hi. Hi. Because I'm using StreamYard to do this Facebook Live, you have to give them permission to leave comments. It's just something that Facebook has set up. So be sure to do that. And then I can see who's saying hi to me so I can call you by name. Oh, hey, Donna from Cornwall. I know who you are. How's it going, Donna? Are you still quit? Yeah, feel free to chime in and let me know where you're at with quitting. Has any of you guys made quit smoking your New Year's resolution? It's the end of January. I don't know how that happened. January went in a blink. And so where are you at with those New Year's resolutions? I'm curious. I want to know. So today I'm going to go ahead and just dive on in, and people can keep joining as we go. One of the things that people I work with, one of their biggest challenges is cravings, dealing with cigarette cravings. And, one thing I know to be true with the people I've worked with is that as a smoker, like you live, in a world where on one hand you're either smoking or you're trying to quit smoking, one or the other. And with both of those, whether you're trying to quit or you have quit, someone's telling me they don't do New Year's resolutions. Hey, Penny, I'm so glad to see you on here. Folks, I'm just going to stop for a second and give a big shout out to Penny. Penny did the Be Smoke Free formula with me in the fall, and she's a rock star. And Penny, I know you're probably blushing, but I know you're also probably smiling from ear to ear. And Penny crushed it like a friggin' boss. And Penny, I'm so proud of you. Penny's been smoke free for months now, and she's doing amazingly well. And a lot of other benefits from not just quitting smoking happened as she went through the program. So it was my honor to guide you through that, Penny. So proud of you. So going back to the cravings and the smoking. Also, let me know if you hear me okay, because I'm not using a mic today. You either live in the world of smoking, where you're wanting to quit, or you quit, but you still think about smoking all the time. And the one thing that's in common with both of those scenarios, those situations, is this constant worry about cravings. Someone's saying, great job, Penny. Yeah, high five, virtual high five. So you're either worried about cravings, or you're afraid of cravings, or you're constantly thinking about them. Does that sound like you? Like, chime in the comments. Can you relate to that? Is that what it's like for you with the cravings? You're thinking about them all the time. It's like if you're not thinking about where, how, and when you can smoke, you're dealing with the cravings, and they just kind of claw at you and gnaw at you. And so what happens for a lot of people, hell yeah, someone's saying hell yeah. I can't call you by name because I can't see it with StreamYard, but yeah, hell yeah. I know it's like the toughest thing I hear over and over with the folks that I work with, is that the cravings, the struggle is real. And it can really get in the way because you make the decision to quit. That's Donna. Yeah, that sounds like you, Donna. You make the decision to quit, and you commit to yourself to quit. and you go ahead and quit, and you're so excited for especially those first, the first days leading up to it, and then the day that you actually quit. And then, probably within a few hours or within the first day for sure, that motivation and that excitement takes a hit, because all of a sudden you got these cravings to deal with. And a part of you is like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for all these friggin' cravings to get in my way and hold me back. And then the thing with the cravings is a lot of people, they try to avoid them at all costs. And so the cravings are there, you're resisting it, you're trying to avoid it, you're trying to not think about it, it's knocking on your door like an unwelcome guest. And the thing is, the more that you resist something, the more it persists. And I know you know what I'm talking about. You're on here and you've even thought about quitting or tried to quit, you know what I'm talking about when I say those cravings are knocking at your door. Another thing is worrying about past failures. A lot of times people have tried to quit. When they come to me, when they finally find me and come to me for help, the folks I've worked with, they told me they've tried like up to 12, 15 times, especially ones that have been smoking for decades. And they've tried so many times that the thoughts of trying again, they just worry about past failures. Like I could never do it before, time and time and time again. What's going to make this time any different? And so Donna says it's not knocking, it's pounding. Yeah, no kidding, right? It's pounding, trying to beat down your door. Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, when that fear of cravings, the worry about cravings, or the constant thinking about them, what happens for a lot of people, and see if this sounds like you, is that then you actually put off quitting. You put off quitting because you think there's no way out, or you've tried everything in the past, nothing has worked for you. Why would this time be any different? And then you basically talk yourself into staying stuck. And you put off quitting. And that, when I hear that with people, because I can like totally appreciate the pain in that, because it hurts. It literally hurts. And that breaks my heart, because I know that it's not your fault that the cravings are tormenting you the way that they are. I know that every time you quit and then you go ahead and have a smoke, and all of a sudden you think, okay, I failed, I screwed it up, I'm a smoker again, and you go back to smoking. Every time that happens, I know that it's making you feel like crap. I know that every time you try to quit and it fails, you feel like a failure. You take it on, you put it on like a sweater and wear it as part of your identity. It becomes part of your identity for most people. And then when that happens, it's not just about the smoking, because when it starts to beat you down like that, and sometimes it's subtle, like it mightn't be in your face and realizing it, but maybe you start noticing like you don't feel as confident about other things in your life like you used to. Maybe nailing a promotion at work, or maybe you don't feel so confident in your relationship. You might start to question things. You start to question yourself in terms of your own decision making about things, and whether you can stick up for yourself and like follow through on something. And it could even get to the point where you feel like so much of a failure that you just don't even think it's worth it to try to quit anymore, to try to improve your life. And you also don't think you're worthy of getting help, because you figure, why get help when I can't do it by myself anyway? If I can't do it by myself, how is someone going to be able to help me? This is what happens to a lot of the people who try to quit smoking over and over and over again, and they're doing it on their own. And it's not your fault, because there's some key pieces that I'm going to share with you today that you just didn't know. And you don't know what you don't know, so it's not your fault. Like, it's not a personality flaw in you or a flawed character trait that you haven't been able to quit smoking so far, or that you're wrestling with these cravings all the time. And I'm not just being nice when I say that, because I'm here to like present some of the actual science to you. And the goal today is to just really shine a light on what cravings truly are, what they're really about, where they come from, why the heck you have them in the first place, why they're pounding on your door, like Donna said, and then what you can do about it. Now, Penny can tell you, she's heard me say this over and over again in the Be Smoke Free formula. When it comes to quitting smoking and the how, number one thing is this: got to do something different. Got to do something different. If you keep, I forget who said it, was it Albert Einstein? I can't remember who said this quote. Something about, you can't keep trying to do the same things over and over again and expecting the change if you keep doing the same things. Anyway, it was far more eloquent than what I just tried to say, but it's true. So if you've tried things in the past that didn't work for you, then it's about trying something different. And I think that's one of the things that really gets in the way for a lot of people when they're making change in their life. Even outside of quitting smoking, with the folks I've worked with on all kinds of different types of things, health issues, managing stress, letting go of weight, setting boundaries, relationship, quitting smoking, any of it, it really comes down to doing something different and like shifting how you relate to yourself in trying to do that. The biggest thing I do with helping people quit smoking is helping them learn to believe in themselves, and they're really worth it. Strategy is important, of course, but it starts up here. It starts with mindset, and it starts with actually your nervous system and your brain, which I'm going to get into. And folks in this group who were part of the Quit Smoking Kickstarter way back in September, I can't believe it was way back in September, know how much I love to geek out about brain stuff. And so there's no fluff with me. If I'm teaching you how to change your life in whatever way that looks like for you guys, it's quitting smoking, then you can be sure I'm going to be talking about the brain and getting a little bit nerdy up in here. Now, I promise it's not going to be like an anatomy physiology lesson or anything like biology from high school. No, it's not. I only have one kind of big word for you. And actually, I can hardly pronounce it, even though I'm a nurse. But we're going to get there. We're going to get into that. So the thing is, like, the real cause of the cravings, it's really a misunderstanding. The real cause of your suffering with the cravings is because you're misunderstanding what they're trying to tell you. And you might be kind of shaking your head like, say what now? Like, that might be something you haven't heard before. It may be new for you. Actually, time in the comments, has anybody heard that before? Those cravings that feel like a nuisance and a torment, and fill in the blank with whatever word you want to call them. I'm sure there's probably a few expletives for some of you. Those cravings, they can be helpful. I know, I hear you where you're at in terms of feeling like they torment you and they hurt you, and it's hard to even imagine that they could be helpful, but really, they can. Cravings are simply messengers. Someone said nope. I know, this is new. It's based on science, which is really cool. I love how when you can take science and use it to change your life. And yeah, it is a new concept for you. I hear that from people who start chiming in my group and listening to what I have to say in this. The great thing about the brain and understanding that the cravings are actually messengers and helpers is that you can totally shift your perspective on this. And once you shift your perspective, it's a total game changer. Penny, you know this from going through the 4 weeks of the Be Smoke Free formula Perspective is everything. And right now, what's happening is that because you've tried to quit before, or you're thinking about quitting, even if it's your first time and you're worried about the cravings, or you're afraid of the cravings, or you're constantly thinking about all the what ifs with trying to quit. Once you shift your perspective on that, it makes it so much easier. So much easier. Now, like anything, it requires practice. It's not a one and done. So that's why you'll see in the event that you were all invited to, and I've posted in a couple of places in the group as well, there's a free guide that I created called the Ultimate Craving Crusher, and you can get that later. It's totally free. Just sign up for it, and you can download it to your device. You can print it off, whatever works for you. Penny, it sure does, right? When Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at things, the more things change, or something like that. My quotes today are not super sharp. It's a Saturday, guys. um, but yeah, wrap your head around this for a minute, that the real cause of the torment of your cravings, or the struggle with the cravings, is not understanding that the cravings are actually there to help you. It's simply a misunderstanding. And when you learn to listen in a whole new way and understand what they're trying to tell you, what they're really trying to tell you, well, like I said, it makes the whole process of quitting smoking a whole lot easier. And it's completely outlined in that guide, in the Ultimate Craving Crusher. So let me just geek out for a second and explain for a minute about the brain. And again, it goes into this in the guide. The guide is like a little online magazine. It's only about 12 pages long. You can go through it in a matter of minutes. And then when you apply it in your life, it's a total game changer. So our brain, when you learn to harness the power of this magnificent brain that we all have, it means you take your power back from cigarettes. And a lot of people don't even realize that they gave their power up to a cigarette. They feel like the smoking controls their lives because they're always thinking, how, when, and where am I going to be able to have a smoke? And if they're not thinking about the how, when, and where, they're wrestling with the cravings. And, there's authors out there that, talk about the cravings as a monster. But I really look at the cravings as a helper. If you want to look at it as a cute monster and have that image in your head, that's okay. But honestly, I look at the cravings as a big old spotlight. So here's how it works in terms of your body with the cravings. And I'll just go into this briefly. Folks who work with me in the 30-day Be Smoke-Free formula know we go into this in a lot more detail in the program. But I've got about half an hour here with you today, so I want to make sure you get what you need so you can actually apply this in your life now. So in our brain, there's a part of the brain called the reward center, and its official name is the nucleus accumbens. That's a hard one to say. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Accumbens. Nucleus accumbens. And we just call it the reward center. But it is a physiological part of your brain, like it exists. And what happens is there's like, they're called neurotransmitters. They're actually hormones, and they're messengers. And so you may have heard ones called dopamine and serotonin. That's just a couple of them. There's many, many neurotransmitters in the body. But dopamine and serotonin are feel-good hormones. And when you have enough of them in your body, you really do feel good. And the thing is, what happens with smoking, you have a smoke, you light up, have a smoke. Sometimes it's even just the act of lighting the cigarette before you take that draw. You get a hit of dopamine because it lights up the reward center in the brain, this nucleus accumbens. And so then every time you smoke, you're lighting up that reward center. So if you smoke a pack a day, 20 or 25 cigarettes, that's like hit after hit after hit after hit after hit after hit after hit of dopamine. So you get that hit of dopamine, it's a little rush, you feel good, and then it drops off, and then you have another smoke, which hits the reward center, you get another little hit of dopamine, feels good, And then when you stop smoking, you're not getting that hit of dopamine. And then not only that, you start having these cravings. And people, like, when you quit smoking, you expect cravings. That's the other thing. People expect and withdrawal, and they expect cravings. But that's not necessarily true for everybody that it happens. And Penny, I remember when you were going through the program in the fall, one of the things you said to me was that you weren't bothered by thoughts of cravings. And I see this in some of the quit smoking groups. Some people quit cold turkey and they don't experience any cravings. So if that's the case, like, so often we hear, that the cravings are physiological. It's a physical thing in your body. But like a physical withdrawal from the nicotine. But like, here's the thing, folks, nicotine leaves your body in a matter of days. And then there's another part, and another component of the nicotine takes a couple of weeks to leave your body, one of the enzymes. But nicotine itself leaves your bloodstream in a matter of days. So if that's the case, we know that to be true. There's been scientific research on this. Why the heck are you struggling with cravings, weeks after you quit, months after you quit, for some people, even years after they quit? Or like they're quit for a few years and then they go through something really stressful, or a trauma, like a car accident or something, or someone in their life dies or something like that, or they lose their job or whatever, and then they could be quit for 5 years and boom, some stress happens, it activates their nervous system, goes into fight or flight, and boom, they want to smoke their head off. I mean, we all know someone who's fallen into that tricky trap, right? Maybe people who are watching here have fallen into it. Someone's saying they're doing 1 to 3 cigarettes a day, still fight strong cravings even though I don't want it. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's a bit of a mind bender, because a lot of people, they don't want to smoke. They know they don't want to smoke. They want to quit, and yet they still feel the compulsion to smoke. And so that's a mind-bendy trip for a lot of people. So whoever wrote that, I don't know if that's you, Donna, or somebody else, the strong cravings, go ahead and pull up the free guide, and yeah, I think you're gonna find that helpful. So the brain, getting hit, that reward center lighting up, it's about finding new ways to do that. And it's different for everybody. Like, that's why in the Be Smoke Free formula, I created something called the Freedom Framework, because it's got options for people. Okay, I'm not sure what that comment, someone just made a comment, but I'm not exactly sure what it is. So that's why you have the cravings, is because with the smoking, you're hitting the reward center of the brain. The cravings activate dopamine that lights up the reward center. It's like a step-by-step process. So then it's about using that part of your brain. So it's not like a personality flaw. It's not a character weakness in you, and it's not your fault. It's about learning a new way. And understanding what it is the cravings are trying to tell you. And that's all outlined in the guide. So in terms of them being helpers, I like to look at the cravings, and again, this goes for anyone I'm working with, whether it's, people who emotionally eat when they're stressed, or they're trying to lose weight and they go ahead and still eat junk food even though they know they don't want it, and they know it's not good for them, but they go ahead and eat it. And hey, I know what that feels like. I've been there. I mean, who hasn't been there? When you have stress, you want a piece, all of a sudden you want a piece of chocolate cake, just like that. Next thing you know, you're eating chocolate cake or more cake than you would normally eat, those kinds of things. Same thing with the quitting smoking. And so how to go about shifting that is to train yourself to see it for what it is. And that's where the process comes in learning how to catch it by the tail when it comes up. And that's kind of the tricky part for a lot of people. And that's why it can be really hard to do it alone on your own, because you can't always see your blind spots. When you're working with a mentor, and you're part of a group and you have that support system, then, someone else can see your blind spots for you and also gently hold you accountable so that you don't get stuck and you can get out of your own way and that you can not just quit, but stay quit. It's easy to quit. A lot of people quit. I know a lot of people in the group have quit. But what happens is they succumb to the cravings, they give in, they beat themselves up. There's a big old bully in their brain, and they go ahead and get back on the smokes, and they figure they failed, and then it's this vicious cycle, like a merry-go-round that you end up on. Like, am I right? Who in here has gone through that? Probably multiple times. So it's about, being your own personal trainer or working with someone who can be your personal trainer and help you condition this behavior so that when a craving comes up, you can understand exactly what it's trying to tell you. In the moment, it may feel like the craving saying smoke, 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 smoke. But what the craving's actually telling you is that reward center, that nucleus accumbens in your brain is not being lit up. Donna, more times than I can count. Yeah. And when that reward system is used to being lit up, like with hits of dopamine 20 or 25 times a day, and that's only if you're smoking one pack. Some people are smoking way more than that. Then it's going to be looking for something to light it up afterwards. And there's so many ways you can do that other than lighting up a cigarette. So it's about getting yourself to a point where you feel the craving, but there's like a short circuit before there'd be, okay, you feel the craving, you go ahead and smoke a cigarette. And you'd have an awareness of the craving, but you automatically, like without hardly thinking about it, like totally automatic behavior, you'd go and start smoking. To really, really shift that, it's about feeling the craving, recognizing, oh, okay, there's a craving, and then making a different choice other than the cigarette. So asking yourself in that moment, what is it that you need? Maybe it's that you're stressed or you're feeling numb or you're bored or you're tired or you want to relax. And a lot of times people turn to smokes as a way to like, oh, I need a break. Cigarettes help me relax. Well, that's a big myth because, oh, hey, Josephine. A lot of times it's well, actually all the time, that's a huge myth. Cigarettes don't help you rest. Nicotine is a stimulant, so it actually can speed you up. So there's so many healthier ways to learn to relax. So really, I like to teach things in systems so you have something really concrete to hold on to. And that's why I created the free guide that will give you an exercise that you can do to figure out what it is that your craving is asking of you in that moment when the craving hits. This is not woo-woo. This is based on neuroscience, which is really cool because that means that you can learn a new way. You can actually change your brain. There's a Dr. Norman Deutsch, who I love his work, and he's written many books on this. He's Canadian, and The Brain That Changes Itself. And, I got into this idea of brain research when my own brain got hit really hard from late stage neurological Lyme disease. And even though I'm a nurse, I didn't know anything about all that. And I sure didn't know how to really change my brain or like be an active participant in changing my brain. And that's how I got into this work. And then I started to learn techniques, how to heal myself. And then I started I started using them in my own practice. And I started seeing it helping people in all sorts of ways. And then it was in my grief resilience program that I saw one of my clients, one of the happy side effects of going through the grief resilience program, which seemed crazy to me at the time, but she quit smoking, or like she cut her smoking back dramatically, and she'd been smoking 2 packs a day. And I was like, wow, how did that happen? I didn't even do any like quit smoking strategies. And then I knew I was on to something, and I was like, whoa, Um, I'm going to create a program to help people. It's my mission to help smokers quit smoking. When I worked as an oncology nurse, and folks who've heard me speak before, I've probably heard this story more than once, but for anyone who's new here, I used to be a chemo nurse. Before I got sick, I was a chemo nurse for quite a while. And one of the things that used to just hit my heart over and over again was leaving work at the end of the day. And I worked in a big hospital. And I'd leave work and I'd see one of my patients sitting in their wheelchair, freezing. And they're hooked up to their IV, their chemo's dripping, and they're out having a smoke. And they're a cancer patient. And they couldn't stop. And I just found that heartbreaking. I've lost family members to cancer, likely related to smoking. My grandmother was one of them, and she smoked all her life. And great love of my life died of leukemia. Likely wasn't smoking related, but he smoked his whole way through, and it was a real bone of contention between us. I wasn't even a nurse back then. So, like, I've seen firsthand what it can do, and certainly in all the patients I've worked with over the years. And so I want more for you. And I know deep down there's a part of you wants more for yourself too. And so, learning to make these consistent steps every day, baby step by day, baby step, with learning to recognize what these cravings are saying to you. Here's another analogy for if anyone's having a little trouble trying to understand it. So here, for me, learning, how to walk without canes and how to get out of a wheelchair and things like that, I had to train my brain so that my legs would start working again. And my goal was to get back into stilettos, get out of a wheelchair and get my ass back into stilettos and dancing shoes. And that was my goal. So for you, your goal is quitting smoking. And it was painful. It was a lot of pain. And I dreaded it. And so I would resist doing some of the exercises and some of the things I needed to do to help me get to a point where I could walk easier. And then I learned to look at the pain in a new way. Like when the pain would come up, what is the pain telling me? Is the pain telling me that I'm pushing too hard? Is the pain telling me that I need to rest? Is the pain telling me that I need some heat or ice on like my legs or part of my body? Is the pain telling me that it needs like some attention? It needs some stretching. Maybe it needs some massage or chiropractic or yoga or something like that, So they're all the different messages. And there's a very negative association with pain. And I'm not going to lie, like there were times it hurt like hell, absolutely. But there was a big shift for me when I learned to look at it that way. And the same principle applies to the cravings. It's because there's association that craving equals something bad. Craving cigarettes means that you're failing or you're not doing something right. You quit smoking, damn it. Why the hell am I having cravings? This is the stuff that goes on in a lot of people's heads. These are the things that folks I work with keep coming to me and telling me. But the thing is that it's a spotlight. And when you learn to look at it in that way, and you are able to create enough mindfulness to ask yourself, like when it happens, and this is the tricky part, is stop yourself when it happens, to ask yourself what it is you really need. And all of that goes over all of that in the guide. It really can be a game changer. It certainly can reduce your suffering and your misery. Huge. It's a game changer. So this is what I wanted to come on here today and share, because I know it's the end of January. For folks who've already made New Year's resolutions, this is around the time, or Valentine's Day, that the resolutions can fall through. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. Sometimes I feel that they can really set someone up for failure and can really put a lot of pressure on yourself. And that pressure is not going to help you make change in your life, because I believe in solution-based, solution focus. ways of doing things, as opposed to just like focusing on the problem all the time. And beating yourself up is not going to get you there. It just isn't. And I know from experience, because I did that lots of times in my own recovery from illness, which I know is not quite the same as quitting smoking, but it's all about the baseline here is about creating change in your life, creating change and making your life better. So I might bring in analogies from different things, like letting go of weight or moving through illness, things like that, other things my clients have dealt with, like stress, but it's all the same. And that's the beauty of it, because when you learn how to apply these skills and strategies, then it has a huge ripple effect in your life. And like I said, the clients that go through the Be Smoke Free formula, they find like their health improves. Like, of course, they start breathing easier. Penny was able to cut back on a ton of her medication with her doctor's blessing. She's got energy and enough breath to be able to like do her housework in the morning without taking a whole bunch of breaks like she used to. And Penny lives with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is a debilitating lung condition. So Penny achieved that in just a few weeks, which is amazing. But Penny, is extraordinary, and she showed up and she did the work, and she allowed herself to be coached and to be guided and supported. She asked for help and allowed herself to receive it. And, the results that my clients get, it's because they're willing to do that. So that's all I have for you today. Let's take a few minutes and I'll answer any questions you have. Go ahead and post them in the comments if you've got any questions. Two things. If you got any questions, you need some clarity on something, and I'd love to know what stands out for you most about what I shared with you today. Does this make sense? Does it feel like it's something you can go ahead and apply in your life today? The helper cravings. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good idea, Donna. Remember in the Quit Smoking Kickstarter, one of the exercises was to give yourself, a superhero name. You can also name the cravings. It's changing that whole association. Hey, Julie. Yeah, listening to the cravings in a different way and knowing it is just wanting the dopamine rush. Sometimes that awareness, that one piece alone, and just remembering that in that moment the cravings hit, for some people, that's enough. That alone is enough to help them move through it, because it creates a certain amount of mindfulness. And then if you feel you need to take it a step further, then it's all outlined in the guide, like what I talked about. Like if you're feeling stressed, numb, bored, tired, or relaxed, like how to identify what it is exactly that your body's asking of you in that moment. Because again, a lot of times it comes up and then automatically before you know it, you got lighter in hand and smoke in the other hand, and that's it. You're back on it. Yeah, that's a great insight, Julie. I like the way you put that. Any other questions, guys? It's Saturday. I don't want to keep you folks in here too long. I'll be doing more trainings like this now over the next few weeks, so I'll keep you posted in the group. Another thing, too, is, smokers very rarely smoke alone. I know I have worked with a few people that were closet smokers, so they weren't smoking with their buddies and stuff. But for a lot of people, smoking is a very social activity. Penny, mindfulness is the key to everything, 100%. Penny, I just love you. You rocked it. I'm so proud of you. People usually have smoking buddies. If you have a smoking buddy who's looking to quit, invite them to join the group. Send them the link. Send them the guide, the link to the guide, and they can sign up and get it. Donna, we're on lockdown, so there's nowhere else to go. Laugh out loud. Yeah, no kidding, Donna. I'm in Ontario too, and we're full on. For anybody who's not in Ontario, who's watching in the rest of the world, we're on full emergency stay-at-home lockdown here, and yeah, that can make it really tricky for people. Then they want to smoke because they find it stressful, and the news is stressful. Look, there's always a ton of stuff in our environment that could be looked at as stressful, that can certainly, nudge you or create the trigger for cravings. And so it's really, really important to nail this strategy down. Like I said, it's really can have a huge ripple effect in terms of how you feel about, well, a lot of things in your life. You're welcome, Julie. Julie says, thank you so much. You give me hope that I can quit. Absolutely, you can. Absolutely. My mission is to really help folks see what's possible, and that it's not your fault. So you can let go of that shame spiral that a lot of people end up on naturally, because you just feel like a failure when you've tried to quit so many times. It's not your fault. So folks, tell your friends, invite them to come to the group, because we're here to, it's a supportive community. It's an exclusive Facebook community. And my mission is to help as many people quit smoking as I possibly can. And support is a big piece of that. So we're friendly folks in this community. Invite your friends to come join the Courage to Quit Smoking group. Second thing is, if you haven't already signed up for the free guide, go ahead and do that. You just submit your email and it automatically goes to you like presto magic. Pass that link on to your friends, because again, like, it's going to help. You can help somebody else today. Share it on your Facebook wall, even if you don't send it to your friends in a direct message. Go ahead and post it on your Facebook wall, and let people know there's resources for them. And it's completely free. And listen, if you know that you're 100% wanting to quit, you're there, and you want some help, feel free to send me a private message, and I'll ask you a few questions, see if it's fit, and I'll show you how it works. So one last call for questions, and if not, we're going to wrap it up. Okay, 42 minutes, not too bad. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Last call. Okay, folks, that's it. And, if you think of a question or you're watching this on the replay, put hashtag replay and let me know you're catching the replay. If you have questions, go after the video. Go ahead. This video is going to be posted in the group. Ask questions, and I'll keep an eye on it and answer them there. Okay? And maybe it's something else I'll do another Facebook Live on. All right. Take care. Have a great Saturday. Bye.